How much money are you going to spend on Apple stuff, Apple? I just called you Apple. Or Paul, how much are you going to spend on Apple stuff?
So
Paul?
actually, I think the better discussion is going to be around how much you spend, but mine will be quick. I will be spending $0. That said, there are two caveats to that. I think I'm going to buy an XR just to review it, and then I'm going to return it. I'm just going to state that right up front. I am not going to keep this phone. I really do think it's a good value. We can get to that later, but I think this is the kind of sweet spot, and maybe it's where I should focus my efforts on the phone stuff. I had really hoped that they were going to announce MacBooks yesterday, and obviously they also didn't announce new MacBook Pros. These things are coming. My feeling is that the new MacBook is going to replace both of the existing MacBook and the MacBook Air. It's going to be a 13-inch device, blah, 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 whatever.
Yep.
That I will probably spend money on. So when that comes out, whenever it comes out, I will be spending whatever that is. And I'm guessing it's going to be in the $9.99 to $12.99 ballpark. It's an uncomfortably big number, but
it is.
My MacBook is woefully out of date, and I need to keep up on this stuff. So the bigger number, and maybe the more interesting conversation, has to revolve around you. What are you doing?
This hurts. As this is a nightmare scenario right here, right? Mm-hmm. This stuff is going to ship or arrive at my house, if I ship it to said house, probably around 11 a.m., given when my FedEx guy likes to show up. Mm-hmm. And I will be on a plane. Actually, I won't even be on a plane at that point. I very well might be damn near in Disneyland or World or wherever the heck I'm going at that hour.
This is like a week from Friday.
Yeah.
The 21st.
Yeah, our flight leaves Cincinnati at 6 a.m. because we don't cherish sleep in our household.
Well, I will make the offer. Well, you requested this, but I will make the offer. If you want to ship that here, I will bring it with me to Florida on Sunday.
Yeah, I very well might take that. There's a lot of up in the airs right now. Well, I shouldn't say up in the airs. I want the new phone. I'm not getting the X Max. It's too big. I'm gonna get the XS, whatever.
So you know this, but you can go and probably have already gone and looked at the X today, the iPhone 10. Sorry. Mm-hmm. It is identical from a form factor perspective, so you can get a feel for the size of the device and how the screen and the device itself compares to what you have today.
Yep, and I like that size. I like the size. Apple really kind of screwed up here in some regard, I think. I really like the size of the iPhone 7. Granted, I've been using that size for 4 years now, but I think for me that's a fine size. I don't need a bigger phone. But I like the idea of having the same size phone, which is roughly the same,
and
just a larger display.
The bigger display. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, granted, I'm a pretty heavy user on my phone, but I'm not sitting here editing Excel spreadsheets on the daily. I mean, it's just for posting on Twitter and whatever else I'm doing.
The next question, though, is $9.99.
I know. So
for 64 gigabytes. Is 64 gigabytes going to be enough for you? You have held on to the phone you have for what, 2 years or 3 years? 2 years.
2 years.
2 years. And you've held on to the watch you have for 3 years or 3 years. 3 years. That's incredible, by the way. So, so you're really looking at like what, $10.99 or something? Or what's is that what it is?
Yeah. So
$1,100. And can I just, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah.
Why not just get the XR?
This is the great question, and I don't know. I think Apple. I know why Apple made the XR, because that's going to be the spiritual successor to the iPhone 8, or it is the successor. It's $50 more, so they're going to make a better average selling price. Of the device.
I mean, to me, it doesn't even compare to the iPhone 8. It's in a different league entirely.
Yeah,
and like I said earlier, I mentioned the sweet spot thing. I mean, in the Apple lineup, $749. Now, granted, the one you got, if you had to upgrade the storage, I assume was what, $849 or whatever. Mm-hmm. Is still, that's $300 less than the phone you're looking at. Something to think about.
Yeah,
you have a choice of colors, which is kind of cool. It may not matter to you. It has all of the capabilities, all of the processing power, everything that's in the iPhone 10XS, 10s. Sorry. The camera is not the same, right? It doesn't have that dual camera system. Now, that said, I went and looked at DxOMark just to kind of see what these things look like, because iPhone cameras have been great for a long time. The iPhone 8 camera is fantastic. It's a single lens camera. It was rated 92 points on DxOMark. The iPhone 10, which is a dual camera system, was rated, I want to say 97. So it's really not that much better. Now, the cameras that are in each of these phones today are a little bit improved. We don't know how much yet. They haven't been graded yet. But even if it was as good as the camera in the iPhone 8, for most people, I think you could make the argument that there's no I mean, like what justifies the $300, not to mention the fact, by the way, that you will spend more if you have to repair the screen, if you want to get Apple Care Plus.
Maybe you're talking me into the cheaper
the cost one. I'm just suggesting that you look at this thing. Now, of course, if you do buy this, I won't have to get it myself too, because then you can just review it. But you don't have that much time. You want to order this thing first thing you can in the next 24 hours, right? So whenever it comes up for sale. So I would just say, really think about this and go one of those side-by-side comparisons and see where they differ. I believe, well, the construction material, it's aluminum versus whatever, magical unicorn dust
steel or whatever. Yeah.
And the camera. And I think that might be it.
Well, the display is OLED versus.
I'm sorry. Of course.
But
Jesus, of course.
But candidly,
yes.
Candidly, I don't think people rave about OLEDs. Guys, you're reading email and shit posting on Twitter and looking at Reddit. It's actually even simpler than that, because you have an iPhone and you know how good that screen is. And when people were complaining every year, how come they keep going with LCD? The fact remained that Apple had the best display on the market. The LCD display has that True Tone technology, which, by the way, is awesome. It is lower resolution, like the stupid name they have. What was it? Liquid Retina or whatever. You're going to want to look at that a little bit. But seriously, if you compare it to the resolution of your phone, I think what you're going to find, and that's where it lines up with the iPhone 8, I guess. I bet the DPI or PPI, whatever they call it, is probably it's lower.
It is. Oh, it is lower. It's for sure lower, but it's probably iPhone 8 or better PPI. And the iPhone 8 is the same as your phone that you have now. And you can your phone, the screen, I know it's beautiful. I had an iPhone 7 Plus. It was beautiful. The display part of it wouldn't detract me from buying this device. The color choices for many people, and I might be interested in that myself. I'd probably just go with a normal color, but I think that's cool. That's one of the things that was fun about the Lumia phones that Microsoft and Nokia made. Just think about it. That's all. I'm not going to look. If you go with the XS, it's not something where I'd be like, you're a jackass. That was dumb. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful phone. But you could kind of say, well, that $300, the difference in price, kind of pays for the Apple Watch, almost.
Right? Which is,
I mean, that might make that a little more of an easy sell.
I got to tell you, Apple's website for this it has a stupid. Parallax effect on it. And
the other thing is,
trying to get
you should look at what people went to the event and see what they said about it when they went hands-on. I know The Verge, I don't know if it was Dan or whatever the other guy's name is. One of the guys.
So what I'm trying to look up here is the iPhone XR is 326 PPI.
Yep. And what is the iPhone 8? Okay,
keep talking about something and I will find out.
Yeah. I feel very, I started writing an analysis of this event, right? And when I looked at what I wrote last year, with Apple, there's always this kind of concern around the way they present stuff. They're always, we're the first ones to, ship an ECG, whatever. No, you're not. We're the first to do this. No, you're not. And, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. But when you get down to brass tacks with Apple, this event was about three products, but two product lines, the iPhone and the watch. And last year there was a little bit more going on there, but this year those are the things. And the Apple Watch is, for the health related stuff, I think it's fair to say, you can't hear this, but my father's staying with me, and he has his iPhone connected to his iPad at max volume. So when he's upstairs in a bedroom with the door closed, I get to listen to the iPhone ring sound in the next room over at max volume, because that's where his iPad is. He has woken my daughter up in the middle of the night on 2 occasions now. It's been a lot of fun. Anyway, he's leaving Saturday, I hope. So
conveniently the same day my dad arrives.
Look,
Anyways,
we can be cynical and funny about Apple. I think both of us were yesterday on Twitter. But the truth is, when you look at what they announced, it's kind of a solid lineup. It is an S year, but these products were already really great. iPhone, Apple Watch, whatever. I like the new color schemes on the S and on the watch. That kind of gold brown color I think is really attractive. And you can't really go wrong. But I'm just, I look at it. Money for me is always the thing. I'm always like,
yeah, money's an issue.
Yeah, I would have a tough time on this decision. There is nothing in the S that I think future proofs it any better than the R. And that's interesting.
I would agree with that.
Right? I mean, that's really interesting.
Because it's the same chip.
Because
I'm
it's
going
the
to
same
interrupt
in
you here
terms-
for a
yes.
second, just
Yep.
to jump back in time. So the PPI, pixels per inch, of the new iPhone XR is 326.
Yep.
Now, iPhone 8, there's two sizes, right? The 5.5, the iPhone Plus, has 401 PPI. But, the 4.7-inch phone, which is the same phone that I have,
Yeah.
326. So it's exactly the
right.
same.
That's actually where I was shooting. I actually thought that was going to be the case. And my belief is it's the same panel and they're just cutting it to a different shape. So it's going to be taller and probably a little thinner, but it's the same. It's probably exactly the same. And it's always interesting when you can make those comparisons because your phone too will be 326 PB. It's the same.
Yep.
There were some additions, some improvements in the iPhone 8 actually, and you'll benefit from that. But as far as I'm positive it's the same resolution. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
It's something to think about. I'm not. Don't get me wrong.
No. I mean, it's a very compelling argument. And there's a bunch of things running through my head, and some I can talk about eventually on this podcast, but we need to wait until like 2 weeks from now.
Yes.
It's compelling. Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. And so, here's one of the things. And I don't think we're actually going to be switching to T-Mobile, despite the fact that I really want to, mostly because the price difference for us, and granted, I know you get Netflix and all that crap, but ignoring all that, if we switch to T-Mobile, every time my wife's phone doesn't work, I'm going to get yelled at. And I am willing to pay the $15 a month difference for the plan we have now versus T-Mobile. Granted, I know T-Mobile is a better value. I'm definitely not arguing that in any capacity. But for my own marriage sanctity, I suspect we're going to be staying on Verizon. And the reason why I say that is I don't know if Verizon's still doing this, and I haven't decided yet. But when I bought my iPhone 7, I bought it actually on a 2-year contract. That's one of the reasons why I never updated. But the benefit of that is you pay $200 up front, or $300 or whatever it's going to be, and then you don't pay monthly for it like you do on the monthly plans. It's just baked in because they know you're sticking around for 2 years. And so if Verizon does that, I will probably end up getting the more expensive one because then it's only $300 up front, and then whatever, I'm locked into Verizon for 2 years, which isn't a big deal for us. I don't know.
Well,
you know what? Can someone make an adult decision for me? I'm tired of being an adult and somebody else tell me what to do.
Well, to add another wrench into this plan, right? One of the things I prefer is not to be locked into a carrier. So
right.
I would want to buy the unlocked version of this phone, which, by the way, is not available today. This is what they do every year. So after some amount of time, if you go to apple.com today and you go through and say, what is this thing going to cost? And you configure it and everything, what you'll see is you'll have a choice of the 4 carriers, and you will not have a choice for unlocked. So if I really wanted to buy one of these, well, I guess I could go with T-Mobile, honestly, because I have, what's it called? Consumer Cellular, which resells T-Mobile. That would probably work fine. Republic Wireless is another super low cost wireless carrier that resells whoever. I think it's T-Mobile too, actually. But I don't want to take that chance. And I don't really know where I'm going to be. I mean, you're on a carrier. It's fine. It's easy. But that might help make the decision too. Like, if you want true freedom from carriers, if you're really thinking about, well, we might go from Verizon, which is a big change, to T-Mobile because it's CDMA to GSM. They don't really make an iPhone for you, and not anymore. They did. Remember 1 year, I think, or 2 years, they briefly made it was universal. You got to be careful with that kind of stuff. So if you're going to stick with Verizon, you're literally going to stick with Verizon. Like if you buy this phone, you are going to stick with Verizon unless you sell the phones, down the line.
Yeah, which I'm relatively okay with. I mean, Verizon's coverage is the best. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
Like, it just honestly would come down to if we ever had like a budget crunch or something and we needed to. I don't know.
Right. Right.
I don't know. But man, I am looking at the XR right now, and I was all set on the.
I know.
It's
Sorry, I
tough.
didn't mean to do that to you.
God damn it, Paul.
As you're talking through it, I know how you use your phone.
Yeah.
And you did hold on to this phone for 2 years, which is great. And the watch is incredible. I mean, you don't have to justify whatever watch you get at this point.
Right.
3 years with first gen watch is really impressive. I'm just kind of thinking through. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm cheap, whatever. But I mean, I really feel like this. What this reminds me of, and this is what I wrote today, is when Google was pricing their phones correctly. What you were getting was flagship specs for a mid-market price.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because you can look at it right next to the thing they're selling right now. This year for Apple is also notable because they're not selling last year's flagship for a step down in price.
Right.
That's something they've not done since the 5S maybe, or I don't remember exactly when it started. It's been a long time. And I think the reason is if they had to slot that in somewhere, it wouldn't really fit.
No.
And it would become the new sweet spot, right? Why wouldn't you just go get that thing? It's virtually identical to the XS today, except it would be cheaper. My God, this guy's phone has been ringing continually since we've been doing this. Anywho, I'll murder him after the show. The point is, don't ever let people who live with your family stay at your house. No, I mean, my own. Look, for me personally, because we all have our own needs and wants and whatever, if I was going to make the big step in this case of going from Android back to the iPhone, right? If I was doing this, it would only be because that camera was the best camera or better than the one I have now. That would be the only way I could ever make this. And the camera would matter to me. So the differences in the camera might be subtle. I don't know yet. We'll see how that plays out. But the camera and the XS and the XS Max are identical. I think that's the first time that's been the case. I think there's usually been a little bit of a difference. I know in the past I bought the Plus phones because the camera was always better. Like the phone you have and the one I had, the difference was single lens versus double, two lens. That may not be the big thing for you. I mean, it's going to take really good photos. It's not like there's not a sacrifice here. I mean, I'm just super particular about it. So $300 for a camera.
Lot tougher. Like the more I'm looking, at it, it's
spend the day. Just spend the day thinking about this.
Like, and to be honest, this is going to come off. I don't care about OLED versus LCD. That's not the question for me. Mostly because someone's gonna be like, well, yeah, Brad, OLED has darker blacks, but you know what? The only time that matters is when you are holding the two phones side by side, which you will never do because you're not going to buy both.
iOS doesn't have a dark mode, folks, so it displaying darks is not really a huge issue today.
Yeah.
I mean, the camera and the display are the things they use to justify the price hike. I don't think they justify collectively $300 of extra value. And
I tend to agree.
I could be missing something. If it was $200, it'd be a little. Maybe it'd be a slightly different conversation depending on what your needs are. But
I'm looking at the pricing of the XR, which is a terrible name.
It is a terrible name. Yep. I agree.
How do you even change the?
I think somewhere on the site you can view all of the three phones side by side.
And I looked at my other phone. I'm using about 96 gigs of storage on my phone right now, so I don't need 256. But that's not an option with the XS. It's either 64 or 256. There's no 128. There is a 128 of the XR.
What's the price difference?
$50. Totally worth it.
I mean, that's amazing. And I agree with you. I would also have the same. That would be the upgrade I would do as well.
Yeah, I don't need.
So it's $800 versus $1,100.
Yeah, so
$1,150. It's actually a $350 difference with the storage upgrade.
So basically, what it comes down to, see, there's other things walking through my mind too. It's like, well, so my wife's due for a new phone in December, so it's like, well, what if I got this one and I don't like it? Then I could just give it to my wife.
But this phone may also be the right choice for your wife too. So
it very
even
well
if
could be.
2 months down the road, you're like, actually, I love this phone. I see no reason to upgrade. She's going to get the cheaper phone. You're still saving money in December or whenever that is. No, you know what I mean? Like,
And yeah.
there's no downside to what you're doing.
And the thing is,
Assuming
it's going to have a case on it. It doesn't matter. The color stuff to me doesn't make a big deal because I'm going to put a case on it. I get these super thin ones that
I just, I don't know if this is a wrench or if this is real or whatever. Well, one thing to kind of brace yourself for is there were rumors before the launch that the XR was going to be in short supply. Now, I don't know if that's actually true.
You know what I just realized, though? Yep. The XR isn't available until October 19th.
Yeah, I was going to say, you may want to, what I was going to brace you for was you may not be getting it on Friday. And actually you aren't because it's not coming out till October. I wouldn't let that factor into the decision.
But that's, I guarantee that's exactly why they did it. Because there's people like me thinking, I really want the new phone.
But if it really is going to be in short supply, the October availability date may in fact be just to get people to buy the more expensive one, right? And maybe that is what the rumors are based on. But if it really is going to be in short supply, it doesn't matter what the date is. Let's pretend it was October 16th or whatever. Mm-hmm. You may actually not get it till November, right? If this is the truth, if there is a supply problem. And Apple would love to have a press release where they said, we're making them as fast as we can. We're sorry we can't meet the.
The question is, does the XR go up for pre-order Friday?
Tomorrow? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I think so. That could be. I don't know.
Because it's 3 a.m., which is a very convenient time to.
It is not a good time to do anything, right? So I'm not actually. As we were talking through this, I mentioned the unlocked thing. That may be enough for me not to. Well, of course, the XR is not coming until October anyway. I don't know that I'm going to be banking any phone purchases from Apple anytime soon.
I don't know. Now I'm on like.
Yep.
I don't know. I got to see if I'm actually going to order this thing on Friday or what I'm going to do.
This is what I do. I sow uncertainty. You were so positive of the things you were going to do, and then I just took a stick and jammed it right into the wheel as it was spinning.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, all right. But let's move on to something that's a little more certain. The watch. So what are you doing there?
So, well, again, I'm going to order one. People have whatever opinions about the watch, but this is a huge product for Apple. Specifically what they announced too, which some people were laughing about it, but the fall capabilities of the Apple Watch, they just opened up a massive demographic called retirement homes.
Yeah.
Because you can imagine how they just outfit these on older people, and somebody falls and they get instant notification at the nurse's desk that XYZ person just fell. Whereas previously they had to hit a button or they had to do something really expensive, because you got to remember, for a nursing home or a hospital, spending $399 on a watch that can do all this that's a no-brainer for them.
It's also impossible to listen to something like that and not think, well, the next version or the version after that is going to include not fall prevention per se, but kind of a
you're dizzy
advanced
or
version of it where it's like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Or it will detect that, you're swaying or something and will buzz your wrist and if you ignore it, proactively send a warning to your caregiver, whoever they might be. I mean, you can kind of see where this is going. I mean, it's hard not to make the I've fallen and I can't get up joke, but
I will pretty heavily argue that I think Apple is totally winning this space. Phones, you can make an argument either way. But I think in the wearables right now, I don't think there's anybody even close to them in this price bracket, I should say.
It's, I mean, I look at this stuff for me personally, and the Fitbit stuff does what I want, The ECG, whatever you want to call it, stuff is, it's one of those things. It's like good demoware, but the truth is, if you want to measure your heart health, you need to actually have a sonogram,
a real one,
an actual ECG. An echocardiogram, not the thing that's on your wrist. Like measuring something on your wrist is just, it's whatever. It's better than nothing.
Yep.
The O2 sensor stuff is very interesting to me, but none of this matters. The point is, it doesn't matter what I need. You have been using an Apple Watch. You like it, and this one is a massive improvement. This is not the one step removed from last year thing that it is for some people. This is literally 2 generations, actually 3 generations newer.
Yeah. So this will be the question becomes what color. I kind of like
What
that.
size? Well, first of all, what size?
Oh, probably the 40. I think the 44 is going to be too big.
Okay, and the 40 is the old. It's the same form factor roughly, right? As
Yeah.
what was it, 38 before or something?
Yep.
It was 38 and 42 or something, or
Yes.
and now it is what 40
40 and
and
44.
44. Okay, but these are the displays we're talking about because
Yep.
now they're doing the bezel-less. Yeah. Okay. And
Yeah,
this
and
is
so
what
color.
349. Is that the actual price, or is there some kind of hidden upgrade fee? I'm
No,
unaware of.
it's 399. So it's actually quite a bit more.
Oh.
So it starts at 399, which is probably the model that I'll end up
Well,
buying.
I'll just say you might be about to save $350 on your phone purchase, and I would imagine you're going to trade in your phone either directly to Apple or through a third party, and that
Yep.
will more than make up the difference.
Yep. Man, there's this logical part of my brain going, you know what, your
Well,
phone.
but hold on a second. This is why the iPhone XR is special, I think, because this isn't just logic. The emotional part of your brain should look at this thing and be like, it is a beautiful device. This is what the sweet spot means. It satisfies both parts of this. I mean, it's not like you're buying this ugly hunk of crap because you want to save some money. It's not like you're buying an old-fashioned phone that has like a forehead and a chin. It's you're getting that's why it's cool. I mean, most people would never be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I am kind of leaning towards maybe that XR. I don't know. I'm gonna wake up at 3 a.m. and try to make a drunk off sleep delirious decision.
Okay. Well, or maybe you sleep through the night because you might not be able to pre-order this one. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you look? I don't even know.
Well, see, there's also this part of my brain which is very unrational, considering impulse purchases of the past, of just wait until you can go into a store and you can see them both, and then make a mature.
Why do you have to have this right now?
Right. My phone works just fine. This watch, granted, the watch works fine. It's a little slow and it's a little aging, but it works.
Well, can't pre-order it until, the 19th.
Yeah.
I got choked up looking at the prices.
Yeah.
So you're going to need to make, hello, God. Like my
Maybe
body
you need an Apple Watch Series 4.
I got to get off of the Apple site. My body's trying to eat itself. During the day today, you're going to have to make this decision. So if you do get up at 3:00 in the morning, that's because you're going to be ordering the XS.
Yep. And I'm waiting to see if Verizon's going to tell me what they're doing. If they are doing the 2-year contracts where I only have to pay less than an XS up front, and just
that would help.
Not leave the carrier for 2 years, which granted, you can buy that out. That's not a big deal, but actually T-Mobile will do it. And if whatever reason Verizon starts kicking puppies on the weekends for fun,
they are a wireless carrier after all.
Yeah, they're not exactly your friend. I mean, they did cut off unlimited data to firefighters, so they're not exactly.
I'm going to look at this today too myself. I'm as we've talked through this, I don't quite understand what justifies the $300 to $350 premium of the XS. So I'm gonna go back and look at this. I feel like I'm missing something, right? So the camera, the display, and the display is a number of things. It's the resolution, it's the technology, like OLED versus LCD, and I think that's it. I mean, I don't think I'm missing. Maybe I feel like I must be missing something because to me, those two things don't justify $300 to $350.
All right, so I finally found a chart comparing all these. So pixel, we're just going to do XS versus XR. Pixel density on the XS is 458. XR is 326, so quite a bit higher. They all run iOS 12. They all have the same front-facing camera. They all do 4K video. This one's, so 64, 256, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's really about it.
Like the stainless steel versus aluminum thing. I mean, who cares? And you would be, well, actually, you don't usually use a case, do you?
So let me grab my phone here real quick.
Yep. I mean, I would put this thing in a case. So to me, in many ways, like the color, I may or may not have a preference for the colors or whatever it might be, but there's always going to be a case.
So this is what my phone is right now.
Oh, that is a case. Okay.
So, but it's look how like you can't.
Yeah,
it's
a
not
low profile
a case. I mean, it's a shell, is what it is. I don't know how easy that is to see.
But I guess the point though is you're not going to be feeling the material.
No, I'm not going to be.
There was some kind of a stainless steel advantage from a, I don't know, like a feeling it perspective. It's kind of weird. I doubt it. You know.
So this is a complete random aside.
Mm-hmm.
There was a water leak on my street, happened late last night. So they shut the water off this morning at like 7:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And they may have just turned it on. Otherwise, a water pipe just exploded somewhere in my house. I just heard that all that like rushing,
like water running through. Yeah,
but I don't.
It could just be my dad using the toilet upstairs in your house.
That's scary on multiple levels, but you could be right. I don't know. We will see. I've got to make a decision here, and maybe.
Let me know what you decide. I mean, separately. I'm just curious. I'm legitimately curious what you do here.
Yeah, I could. I don't know. I could see myself going either way, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's.
Yep.
We will see. I don't know. The watch looks super interesting. I'm actually quite happy with those updates. I think it'll be just fine going forward. And I don't know.
And when does that come out? Is that like next week too? Is that?
I think so. I think it's the same thing. So the other thing, Paul, that they did not announce was their AirPower charging mat that they announced a year ago.
Promised a year ago.
It's still.
That is just unfathomable. Oh God.
It's going to end up being the most over-engineered charging mat on the planet, is what it's going to be.
There's a bunch of stuff like this. The HomePod kind of succumbed to this. That was delayed, and then it shipped, but it didn't have all the functionality they promised. They literally just announced a couple of features for this thing at the show. It's like, guys, this thing's been out since what, last November or December or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
We will see here. We shall see. Any other last-minute thoughts here from the Apple Hangover edition?
No, I mean, it's natural to be a little consumed by this stuff, especially in your case because you're making some major purchases, so it's even more strenuous. I'll do what I always do, and I'll go back and watch the keynote again. I riffed on it as they were doing it, but of course, when you do that, you kind of miss stuff and whatever. And in the kind of cold light of the next morning, things look a little saner. I'll go back and look. Like I said, I'm very curious about this XR versus XS thing, just on an intellectual level, I guess. I mean, I'm just trying to understand what justifies that price hike, and I'm not sure I see it. So I'll look at that again too. But no, nothing non-Apple related, other than my hatred of Gmail. But let's skip that for today.
For those who aren't aware, Google has killed Inbox. So now I'm down in Newton, and you're down in Inbox, and we're all just going to cry into unhappy email.
Yeah, I never wanted to see myself in the gutter crying next to you, and yet here I am. And I mean, I have till March to figure this out. But I got to tell you, I threw Outlook on my phone, which I've used before and I like. On mobile, it looks a lot like Inbox, so that's good. And it works a lot like you can configure the swipes to be identical, and it's great.
Yeah.
On the web, which is the bigger problem because that's what I stare at all day long, Gmail is unacceptable. So I'm looking at Outlook.com. It looks beautiful. I really like Outlook.com. The issue is going to be whether or not I can elegantly get my Thurrott.com email, which is through G Suite, happening through there. I'll have to go. This is a topic I've not revisited. You know how you forward email to accounts, blah, 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 whatever. So I need to investigate that. But I am facing the awful possibility of being in your bucket or whatever, where you have the. I might have to find a client. And now that Newton Mail is kind of out of the running, because that might have been an option, I don't even know where to turn. So
you can join me in the hell that is the Windows 10 Mail app.
I am not doing that. I'm okay with Windows 10 Mail on a laptop. So if you're going to be gone for a few days or whatever, it's okay. It's actually fine. On the big screen, like here, oh God, it's like using one of those Fisher-Price activity centers that kids have in the little round thing where they can't get out of it, but they can spin in circles. Which is, an interesting metaphor for Windows 10. Yeah, so you and I both will be investigating email. It seems for a few months here.
Yep. So, all right, folks. Well, that wraps it up for today. Tune in tomorrow to see if I spent money, and have yourselves a wonderful and decisive day, hopefully.